Everybody like and subscribe, praise the bell icon. Story number 1.
In the quiet town of Maysville, Ohio, there was a Domino's Pizza nestled between a shuttered laundromat and an old video rental store. It was the kind of place nobody paid attention to until people started going missing. The first disappearance was chalked up to bad luck. A driver named Jared, just 19, disappeared during a Friday night shift. His last delivery was to a house deep in the woods off County Road 8. The GPS showed he'd reached the destination, but when the police followed up, they found only an abandoned house with rotting siding and furniture covered in mold. Jared's car was discovered a mile down the road, empty, engine still warm. The pizza was in the passenger seat, untouched. The store manager, Marcy, was shaken but forced to keep operations running. It was a corporate store. That meant no shutdowns, no investigations beyond the bare minimum. Just a missing employee, flyer posted on the corkboard near the staff bathroom, and a replacement driver hired within days. Then it happened again. 6 weeks later, this time it was Erica, a shift lead who usually stayed in store but had gone out to deliver an order when they were short on drivers. Her route was through the same wooded back roads. She never returned. Some employees quit. The few who stayed, mainly teenagers with no other job options, started talking. One guy, Felix, claimed he'd seen something the night Jared disappeared. He said the security cam feed that night had a strange glitch around the time Jared left. It wasn't a glitch, he insisted one night after closing, voice barely above a whisper. There was something behind him when he was leaving, something in the shape of a person, but wrong. Marcy dismissed it until she stayed late one night doing inventory. She watched the live camera feed out of boredom. A driver named Kelsey was on the clock, heading out for a run. Marcy saw her walking to her car, but someone was walking behind her. Not someone, something. It was tall, impossibly tall, but its shadow didn't match the overhead lights. It lagged. The limbs twitched in sharp insect-like jerks. Marcy jumped from her seat and ran to the parking lot, but by then Kelsey was gone. Her car was still there, door wide open, keys still in the ignition. The police wrote it off as a runaway, again. By this point, corporate began sending temp managers every few weeks. They kept firing employees who spoke out or asked too many questions. The town started whispering about the Domino's curse. No one from the store stayed employed longer than 2 months. People said if you worked the closing shift alone, the phones would ring even if they were unplugged. If you answered, the line would be dead for exactly 13 seconds before a voice, too garbled to understand, whispered your name. One guy reportedly clawed at his own ears after answering one of those calls. A delivery driver named Malik decided to quit and tell his story on TikTok. His video went viral, 1.3 million views in 2 days. He talked about delivering to a weird location near an old quarry that didn't show up on his GPS. When he got there, it was like reality itself had glitched. No sound, no wind, no animals. Just a cold pressure in his ears. He left the pizza at the door and bolted. Later that night, he woke up to find the pizza box on his front porch, half-eaten, with what looked like bite marks too large to be human. Then the Domino's burned down. A fire started in the back, in the storage freezer. Investigators said it was electrical. Locals say it was something else. There were no screams, no fire alarms, no attempt to call 911. Just the building going up in flames in the middle of the night, leaving behind a warped, blackened sign. Only the word no remained readable. The lot remains empty. No one dares to rebuild. Locals cross the street to avoid walking past it, and every so often someone reports hearing the Domino's jingle softly playing in the wind or seeing a pizza delivery car idling at the curb, driver's seat empty, engine humming. And if you dial that old Domino's number, sometimes it still rings. If someone answers, don't say your name. Just hang up. They say once it knows your name, it never forgets.
Story number 2.
A quiet Domino's pizza location in a small Pennsylvania town was the kind of place no one noticed. Tucked between a laundromat and an abandoned video rental store, it stayed open late, usually dead by 11 p.m. But on one particular night, in November 2017, something happened there that none of the surviving employees would ever talk about openly again. The night shift had started like any other. Andy, a 19-year-old delivery driver, clocked in at 6 p.m., dragging himself through his usual routine. His co-workers were all used to the weird energy that came after dark, strange phone orders, prank calls, and the occasional creepy customer who'd insist on paying in coins or exact change that took 10 minutes to count. But nothing felt particularly off. Not yet. At 10:12 p.m., the phone rang. Andy was leaning against the counter, waiting for a delivery order to pop up on the screen when Trina, the shift manager, answered. He noticed her brow furrow as she listened. Then she paused and slowly turned to look at him. "Andy, can you take one more?" she asked. "It's not far." He grunted and reached for the slip. The address was less than 10 minutes away, out by the old Fairview Woods. He hated deliveries out there. It was all dirt roads and barely any cell service, but he needed the hours. The customer had ordered a single large pepperoni pizza, paid in advance, left no instructions. Nothing strange, except the name, just the initial R. Andy pulled into the gravel road leading to the listed address 15 minutes later. The GPS spun uselessly in circles, so he followed the dim porch light in the distance. The house was old and almost swallowed by trees with no driveway, just flattened grass. He walked to the front door, pizza in hand, and knocked. No answer. He knocked again, still nothing. He was about to turn around when he noticed the door was cracked open. Not unusual. Some people were lazy or trying to avoid their dogs escaping. He called in, "Domino's, got your order." No sound, just the faint creaking of the trees. Something felt wrong. He took a cautious step inside, holding the box out like a shield. "Hey, I'm just gonna leave the pizza here at the table, okay?" The house smelled like old wood and something foul underneath, like rotten meat left in a freezer. A single lamp glowed in the corner, casting long, warped shadows. Andy placed the pizza down and turned to leave when he heard a voice, raspy and low, like it came from beneath the floorboards. "Are you the one who brought it?" Andy froze. He turned slowly. No one was there. He didn't respond. Just backed toward the door. Then something upstairs moved. It wasn't footsteps. It was too quick. A thud, then a dragging sound, then silence. He bolted. Back in the car, he locked the doors and reversed down the road so fast he nearly took off his bumper. He never called to confirm the drop-off, never tried to find out who R was, and he didn't report the open door. The next day, he didn't come in for his shift, or the one after that. 2 days later, Trina got another call from the same number. A new delivery, same address, same order. But this time, she didn't send anyone. She called the police. What they found at the address didn't make the news. But local whispers started about the abandoned house with claw marks inside the walls, about the stack of half-eaten pizzas in the kitchen, rotted and untouched, about the hole in the floor where the basement should have been, just a deep, crumbling shaft that went far deeper than any foundation, far deeper than any record showed. Andy never showed up again. His car was found in a Walmart parking lot 2 towns over, keys still in the ignition, pizza delivery bag in the back seat, empty. To this day, Domino's drivers in that region share stories on foreign late-night smoke breaks about a flagged number in the system, one that shouldn't even exist anymore, but occasionally appears. About late-night orders to addresses that don't show up on GPS. Some swear they've gotten calls from that number. One guy even claimed he heard the voice when he answered. "Are you the one who brought it?" He quit the next day. Domino's never acknowledged any of it. But in some locations, if you try to order a single large pepperoni pizza under the name R, the system auto-cancels your order, every time.
Story number 3.
It was a freezing night in February 2016 when James, a 22-year-old college student in Indiana, picked up a closing shift at Domino's to help cover rent. The store was understaffed. The wind outside howled like a dying animal, and the phones had gone quiet after 11 p.m. As the assistant manager locked the front door and began counting the register, James took one last delivery that came in just before closing. The address was listed as a house on the outskirts of town, rural but not unfamiliar. The order was strange. One large pizza, no cheese, no sauce, and a list of bizarre toppings: jalapenos, anchovies, pineapple, mushrooms, all on different quadrants. When he asked the manager if they should confirm the order, the man just shrugged. "Money's money," he said. "They paid online with a fat tip. Go." James pulled out into the icy night, the heat in his car barely working. The GPS led him down a cracked country road, flanked by woods on both sides. After 10 minutes, his headlights caught a mailbox half buried in snow. Its numbers faded and rusted. He pulled into a narrow, overgrown driveway that looked more like a trail. The house at the end of the drive looked like it had been abandoned years ago. Dark windows, chipped paint, half the porch caved in. But the porch light was on. James sat in the car for a moment, debating whether to knock. A cold shiver crawled up his spine, but he chalked it up to the weather. He grabbed the pizza and approached the door, stepping over a pile of old newspapers and what looked like a dead raccoon. Before he could knock, the door creaked open on its own. Not wide, just a few inches. "Hello?" James called out. "Domino's delivery." No answer. He pushed the door open farther. The air inside was heavy with mildew and something metallic, like rust. The entryway was dimly lit by a single bulb swaying from a frayed wire. The walls were lined with broken picture frames, faces scratched out violently. "Hello?" he said again, louder. From deeper inside the house, a voice replied, raspy, low. "Come in." James froze. Something about the voice felt off, like it was imitating human speech rather than speaking naturally. He stepped inside anyway, hoping to drop the pizza and leave. "I'll just leave this here," he said, placing the box on a small table near the door. "You didn't bring the sauce," the voice whispered. "What?" James turned toward the sound, but there was no one, just the long, narrow hallway stretching into the dark. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind him. James rushed back, tried the knob. Locked. Panic set in. He banged on the door, yelled, but the house swallowed the sound like it was absorbing it. Then he heard footsteps, not on the floor above or down the hall, but on the ceiling, directly above him. He backed away from the door, looking up. The drywall above began to crack, dust drifting down like ash. Something was moving in the attic space, crawling fast. Then it stopped. Silence. James edged toward the hallway, hoping to find a back door. He passed what looked like a child's bedroom. On the wall, hundreds of Domino's receipts were stapled in a grid, each with a name and delivery time. His name was on the most recent one, circled in red. He turned and ran. As he reached the kitchen, the light flickered. There was a figure sitting at the table, completely still, cloaked in shadow. The only thing visible was the glint of something metallic in its hand. James stepped back. The figure didn't move. Then the sound started, a slow, high-pitched whine, like a tape being played in reverse. It grew louder, more violent. James covered his ears. Blood dripped from his nose. He turned and ran into the basement door by accident. It flung open and he tumbled down the stairs. He landed hard. The light above died, plunging him into darkness. As his eyes adjusted, he saw what looked like shelves lined with pizza boxes. Dozens of them, hundreds, all labeled with names, dates, and small notes like "too early" or "came alone." Each box had something inside. Not pizza, things he couldn't identify. Shriveled, discolored items that looked like they had once been alive. Then movement. Someone or something crawling down the walls. James scrambled to his feet and bolted up the stairs. The figure from the kitchen was gone. The front door now hung open. He didn't think, just ran through it into the snow, not stopping until he reached the car. When the police arrived, they found the house empty, condemned for years. No power, no heating. But the strangest part? When they opened the pizza box James had dropped, it was empty, except for a note written in something dark and smudged. "Thank you for delivering yourself." James quit Domino's that night. The receipt with his circled name? He still has it. Every so often, someone tries to order from that same address again. Same toppings, same tip. No one takes those calls anymore.
Story number 4.
In the winter of 2018, a college sophomore named Tyler took a part-time job at a Domino's Pizza on the outskirts of Erie, Pennsylvania. The job was simple: prep dough, make pizzas, answer phones, and most dreaded of all, handle the late-night deliveries. The store closed at 1 a.m., but deliveries continued until nearly 2 a.m. on weekends, often in the desolate neighborhoods skirting the woods where streetlights flickered or were entirely absent. One night, around 12:45 a.m., a call came through. The order was odd: 3 medium cheese pizzas, all with light sauce, no toppings, and extra thin crust. No soda, no sides. The delivery address was listed as 1340 Black Hollow Road, a place Tyler had never heard of, and neither had his coworkers. It wasn't in their usual system map, but the GPS picked it up. Just outside city limits, deep in the rural back roads. Tyler didn't want to go. He offered to pay one of the other drivers to take the trip, but no one was interested. Black Hollow? Sounds like a place you don't come back from, joked his manager, half laughing, half serious. Tyler forced a smile, grabbed the warming bag, and left. The drive was unsettling from the start. As the city lights faded, the road narrowed into a dirt path flanked by tall, skeletal trees. The snow from earlier had frozen into jagged sheets of ice. His GPS rerouted twice, finally guiding him down a twisting trail where his headlights struggled to penetrate the darkness. When he reached the address, he saw what looked like an abandoned Victorian house. The porch sagged in the middle, the windows were boarded up or broken, and the only light came from a flickering lantern swinging just outside the front door. No other houses nearby. No cars. No signs of life. He hesitated, engine running, hands still on the gear shift. Then his phone buzzed, an automated delivery confirmation prompt. Against his better judgment, Tyler stepped out with the pizzas and walked slowly to the porch. The wooden boards creaked under his feet. Just as he raised his hand to knock, the door opened an inch. No one stood behind it. He called out. Nothing. He pushed the door a little wider, peering inside. The house was in complete disrepair, walls stained, floorboards missing, cobwebs like curtains. But in the center of the front room was a table, a perfectly clean table with 3 plates and silverware, set as if for a formal dinner. Candles burned on either side of it, wax dripping onto the dusty floor. He backed away, shaking. Then something whispered his name. Not loudly, not urgently, just barely above the creak of the house settling. He turned around fast, expecting someone to be behind him. No one. His phone buzzed again. Order not completed, GPS signal lost. Panic set in. He dropped the pizzas on the porch and ran to his car. He twisted the key in the ignition. Nothing. Dead. No lights, no engine, not even a click. He tried again, still nothing. When he looked up, the lantern on the porch was gone. The door was closed. And then, the house was completely dark. His breath formed a cloud in the frigid air. He tried calling the store. No signal. He texted 3 different people. Nothing went through. And then, from the corner of his eye, he saw movement. Figures. Thin, tall, their silhouettes barely distinguishable from the trees. At first, just 1. Then 2, then 5. All of them slowly emerging from the woods surrounding the house, forming a loose ring around the property. He locked the doors and sank low in his seat, heart pounding. One of them stopped just in front of his car. Though their face was obscured by a long hood, Tyler could see their mouth, just the mouth, moving, whispering. He couldn't hear it, but he could feel it, like static crawling under his skin. After what felt like hours, his car suddenly jolted. The dashboard lights blinked. The radio crackled. Then the engine roared to life. Without thinking, he slammed the gear into reverse and tore down the trail, fishtailing on ice, barely keeping the car on the road. When he reached the main road, his GPS blinked back on. He drove straight to the store, tires screeching, face pale. When he burst through the door, his manager looked at him in confusion. "Where the hell have you been? That was a no-show. That address you had, it bounced, said it doesn't exist. We tried calling, but you never answered. You've been gone for almost 3 hours." Tyler tried to explain, but none of it made sense. The manager just stared, shrugged, and told him to clock out. He never went back. He dropped out of school a few weeks later and moved states. But sometimes, even now, he swears he hears that whisper again, right when he's falling asleep. Always the same 3 words. "Deliver. Come back.